Hello everyone, welcome back to Book Bar and welcome to my January Stats and Favorites. I read 31 books last month, and so in my wrap up I didn't want to talk about all this. I'll link that above or below, whatever I can figure out. Because if I would have talked about all this, my video would have been way too long. And so here are my stats and everything. I read a total of 31 books, as I said before, which was 10,145 pages, which is like my best ever. My average rating was 4.5 stars. I am going to talk about my ratings later. I pretty much rate everything 3 stars and above. And if I really hate something, then I'll usually just DNF it. But I ended up with 13 5-star reads, 5 4.5 stars, 11 4 stars, and 2 3.5. So that is my breakdown of the stars. I read 26 romance heavy books, 2 fantasy heavy books, 2 fiction, I don't really know what category to put them in, books, and 1 non-fiction book. And then in my romance category breakdown subgenres, I read 2 fantasy romances, 3 dark romances, 6 historical romances, and 15 contemporary romances. Though I guess Priest is contemporary, but it kind of is dark/taboo. But I'm counting contemporary because it's not a dark book. It's not a dark romance. Like, it's not a serial killer or mafia. I listened to 11 audiobooks, read 11 ebooks, 7 physical books, and 2 I read and listened to. So yeah, those are the stats. And now let's talk about my top 5 books. I'm going to hold the same book up so number 5 was Still. It's the 3rd book in the Grip trilogy. Number 2 was 2, 3, and 4 are all the same. Like, Still was above. 2, 3, and 4 all had like the same like rating afterwards. So I'm gonna go into Grip, which is the 2nd book in the Grip trilogy. It's kind of the first one. The first Flow is just like a novella that happens. It's like a prequel novella, but you should read it first. This is Grip and Bristol. Still is the continuation of their story. Grip and Bristol, they are an interracial couple. He is a rapper, she is a music manager. Brother's best friend. Second chance romance. Super emotional, very heavy romance. I was sobbing reading this, and Still just absolutely gutted me, both of them. Definitely a favorite of mine, like a favorite series of mine. Flow probably would have been a top book, but it's just so short that it ends up being a little bit lower based off of the things that happen in it. But yeah, I absolutely loved this. 10 out of 10 enjoyment, 5 out of 5 stars. Perfection in a book series. And I can't wait to own the other ones, but I had to at least get Grip, because I think even though Still came out higher, Grip might actually be my favorite, like just in my heart, but like based off of how I rate books, Still was a little bit higher. But absolutely loved this one. Then there was Quart of Silver Flames. This is the 5th book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Nesta and Cassian's story. I just absolutely loved it. Great book of great found family friendship, learning how to get over trauma, learning to love yourself, because that's really what Nesta needs to do in her journey, is learn how to love herself before she can let Cassian really truly love her. And I loved this book so much. This was my favorite book until I read Still and Grip, and those became, but loved it. I could definitely see it being on a top of the year. Same with the other 2. Actually, really all of these. We'll see how the rest of my months go, but fantastic book. But you do kind of have to read the other books in the series for this to make sense. So, but it is a new storyline. And then my next favorite was There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. Serial killer romance for the win. I loved like the talk about San Francisco and even like going south more into the Bay into like Hollister. I'm from that area. Don't live there anymore, but I'm from there. So that was really fun. Cole is this like super rich artist and he has an enemy and they are basically rivals in everything, including serial killing. And one night he catches the eye, or Mara catches Cole's eye, and his enemy figures this out and takes her and tries to get Cole to do things that he wouldn't normally do. And Cole doesn't end up crossing that line, but he does end up falling in love with Mara. And I'm really excited to read the second one. There's No Devil, but that was a great book. And then my last favorite book is Seducing at Sunrise by Elise Claibos. This is the second book in the Hathaway series. This was my favorite. This has been my favorite of the Hathaway series so far. Not my favorite Claibos so far, but my favorite in Hathaway's. It's Kev and Win. Kev is annoying and you want to strangle him for 90% of the book, but the payoff in the end is just fantastic. And Win knows what she wants from the beginning, and she tries really hard to get Win to get Kev to see that he is good enough for her, because that's really where the drama comes in. He doesn't think he's good enough for her. But yeah, I loved this one. Plus, I mean, look at that. Got that gorgeous dippet. And then I have an honorable mention, which actually technically came in higher than Seducing at Sunrise, but this was a favorite from last year, so it's to be expected. The Forbidden Man by Corinne Halley. I mean, it's a reread, so I went in and I tabbed it a bunch, and I loved this. Age gap, older woman, younger man, sports romance. I love this book so much. Yeah, it was definitely, it was a favorite from 2021. So I reread it this year, and it's still a favorite. It won't be on like a favorites list because obviously it's on my favorites from last year, but it's an honorable mention because technically it did come in higher rating wise than Seducing at Sunrise. And then another book that I want to mention is an honorable mention, but because it's not a romance, it doesn't get ranked as high because I do my readings because romance is my favorite genre. But Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen was absolutely phenomenal. It was a 5-star read, and if it was a romance and not a young adult book, it probably would have been on this list. But because of how I rate my books, which is a video that is coming soon, because of how I rate my books, it ended up not being as high. But that is all that I have for now. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. Let me know how your reading month went last month. I'm excited for February. Can't wait to get to dive on in. Oh, one stat I did forget to talk about was my best reading day and my worst reading day last month. On January 5th was my worst reading day. I read 9 pages only that day. And on January 14th, I read 776 pages. That was my best reading day. Of course, it's reading and listen, because I listen to audiobooks at work. But yeah, that was my best day of the month. So my best and my worst days. But yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, those are my stats. Let me know down below. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all the fun stuff. And I will talk to you all in the next one. Bye for now.